Dominic Vale hated cafeterias, not because of the smell of coffee or the clatter of trays, but because they reminded him of a time when hunger had been louder than pride. He was only there because his lawyer insisted on a quiet meeting in public, the kind of place where cameras were present, but nobody really looked. He stood in line behind a man in a frayed hoodie, the man's shoulders tight, like he was holding the world together with muscle alone. A little girl stood beside him, clearly 6 years old because her voice still had that bright softness as edge, and her front teeth were in that in-between stage where childhood showed. She wore a yellow raincoat that swallowed her small frame and a plastic tiara that looked like it came from a party aisle. She pressed her face to the glass display case, staring at a slice of chocolate cake topped with a single strawberry. "Dad, just that one," she whispered. Careful, hopeful. "It's my birthday cake. I don't need a whole one. Just a slice." The man swallowed, eyes fixed on the price card like it was an accusation. The cashier, a bored teenager, waited with a sigh. "We don't have the money, Princess," the man said, trying to smile, trying to make it light. "Maybe we can get a muffin and pretend. But before we continue, I want to make a very special invitation. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like. This helps me see that you support me and are enjoying my stories. And comment below which city you're watching us from. Now let's continue." The girl didn't cry. She nodded like she understood. Then she looked back at the cake anyway, as if staring could replace money. Dominic felt something move under his ribs, something he hadn't allowed to move in years. He had ended lives with a phone call, negotiated with men who called themselves monsters, and still the thing that cut him open was a 6-year-old pretending she wasn't disappointed. Behind Dominic, Luca Reyes muttered, "Boss, let's just get our coffees." Dominic ignored him. He stepped closer, pulled out his wallet and set a crisp bill on the counter. "Add the cake," he said, voice calm. The father turned fast, defensive. "No," he said, shaking his head. "We're fine. We don't take—" "It's a slice of cake," Dominic said. "Not a debt." The little girl stared at Dominic's suit, his watch, the tattoos peeking from his cuff like secrets. Her eyes weren't greedy, they were wary. "Are you a movie guy?" she asked. Dominic almost smiled. "Something like that." The cashier rang it up quickly, relieved not to be part of the awkwardness. Dominic slid the tray toward the child, then crouched to her height so she didn't have to look up like she was begging. "What's your name, Princess?" "Lily," she said, then added firmly, "I'm 6. Dominic nodded as if that information mattered, because it did. "Happy birthday, Lily." She hesitated, then picked up the plate with both hands, careful, like it was precious. "Thank you," she whispered, and the words were so soft Dominic had to lean in to hear. The father's jaw worked. Shame flickered across his face, hot and quick. "I can pay you back," he said. My card got declined." "It's a stupid bank thing." Dominic's instincts woke up at the phrase bank thing. He had heard that too many times, usually right before someone got squeezed. "Name," Dominic said, not unkind, just direct. "Ethan Reed," the man replied. "And this is my daughter." Lily's grip tightened on her tiara as if she needed proof she deserved the title. Dominic watched her, then noticed the necklace resting at her collar, a thin silver chain with a small swallow pendant, wings spread as if it was mid-flight. Dominic's stomach dropped. He had seen that pendant once, years ago, on a woman who had told him he could still be good if he chose to be. Evelyn had worn it because she said swallows always come back home. Dominic had lost her, and he had buried the ache under money and fear, the way men like him always did. Luca's voice went cautious. "Boss?" Dominic didn't answer. He looked at Ethan again, at the way the man stood between Lily and the world without even thinking. Not a gangster's stance, a father's stance. "Where did she get that necklace?" Dominic asked. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "It was her mother's," he said, "that's all." Lily licked frosting from her lip, then froze like she'd said something wrong just by existing. Dominic softened his voice. "Where are you headed?" he asked. Ethan's gaze flicked to the door, then back. "Home," he said. "Queens." Dominic nodded once. "I'll drive you." Ethan stiffened. "Absolutely not." Dominic could have forced it. He didn't. He just waited, letting Ethan feel the space between choices. Lily's small hand tugged her father's sleeve. "Dad," she murmured, "it's okay. He bought cake. He's not mean." Dominic felt that simple evaluation land harder than any insult. Ethan exhaled, defeated by the logic of a child. "Fine," he said. but we don't go anywhere weird. Dominic's car waited outside, black and silent, the kind of vehicle that made people step aside without knowing why. Lily climbed in with her cake balanced on her knees. She kept the fork upright like a tiny sword. Dominic slid in beside her, too aware of how small she was against the leather seat. As they pulled away, Lily took one bite, eyes closing like she was tasting safety for the first time in a while. Ethan watched her in the mirror and looked like he might break. Dominic stared at the swallow pendant again, mind racing with one impossible thought. If Lily carried Evelyn's swallow, then Evelyn's story hadn't ended the way Dominic had been told. And if someone had frozen Ethan's accounts until he couldn't buy his 6-year-old a slice of cake, then someone was sending a message. Dominic Vale had lived by messages. This one had a child's name on it. He kept his voice low, because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving, but in his chest time slowed to a single decision. He had built his reputation to scare men, yet the thing that scared him now was failing a child. Every instinct told him to walk away, and every memory told him he was done walking away. He chose simple words, the kind that could survive an audio narration. Dominic didn't speak for the first 5 minutes of the drive. He listened instead. The soft scrape of Lily's fork against the plate, the way Ethan kept clearing his throat like he was swallowing words, the low hum of traffic through Queens. In Dominic's world, silence usually meant danger. Here, it meant a father trying not to show fear in front of a 6-year-old. "Is your car bulletproof?" Lily asked suddenly, frosting on the corner of her mouth. Ethan snapped, "Lily!" Dominic answered anyway. "Parts of it," he said. "But you don't need to worry about that." Lily nodded like she accepted the strange normal. "Okay," she said, and took another bite. Ethan finally spoke, voice tight. "Why are you doing this?" Dominic kept his eyes forward. "Because your kid asked for cake, and you looked like you were going to punish yourself for being broke," he said. "And because someone froze your money." Ethan's shoulders stiffened. "That's not your business." "It becomes my business when children get used as pressure," Dominic replied. They reached a narrow building near an elevated train line. Ethan led Lily up 2 flights of stairs to an apartment that smelled like laundry detergent and old paint. It was small but clean. A birthday card sat on a table beside a candle Ethan had probably planned to light with something that wasn't cake. Dominic's guards stayed outside. Dominic stepped in alone, hands visible, the way he'd learned to do when he didn't want to scare someone. Lily hopped onto a chair and watched him like he was a puzzle. Ethan opened a drawer and pulled out a folder of papers. "It's not just a bank thing," he admitted, keeping his voice low. "My paycheck goes into an account I can't access. I've been filing complaints for weeks. They keep saying review and compliance." He laughed once, bitter. "I'm a maintenance supervisor. Compliance doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a word that means no." Dominic glanced at the papers and recognized the language immediately. Hold orders, flagged transfers, a request for verification tied to a city oversight office. He saw one name on the stamp and felt his jaw tighten. Councilman Grant. "Grant," Dominic said. Ethan stiffened. "You know him?" "I know what he pretends to be," Dominic replied. Lily swung her legs. "Dad, can I have more water?" she asked. Ethan went to the sink. Dominic watched his hands. They were rough, the hands of someone who fixed things for a living, not the hands of a man playing a long con. When Ethan turned back, Dominic said softly, "That necklace." Lily said it was her mother's. Ethan's eyes went guarded. "Don't," he warned. Dominic held his gaze. "A woman named Evelyn," Dominic said, testing the name like a live wire. Ethan froze. Water sloshed over the rim of the cup. Lily looked up. "Mum," she whispered, then corrected herself quickly like it was forbidden. "My mum." Dominic's chest tightened. "Where is she?" he asked. Ethan's mouth opened, then closed. He looked at Lily, then at the hallway, as if expecting someone to be listening through the walls. "She's gone," he said finally. "That's what Lily was told." Dominic didn't accept it. "And what do you believe?" he pressed. Ethan's eyes flashed with exhausted anger. "I believe someone powerful made sure she disappeared," he said. "I believe they'd do it again if I talk." Dominic felt the old part of himself rise, the part that promised safety through force. He shoved it down and chose a different voice. "If you're being threatened, I can end that," he said. "But I need the truth." Lily slid off her chair and walked closer, cake plate in her hands. She offered it to Dominic like a peace treaty. "Do you want some?" she asked. "It's good." Dominic stared at the slice. He hadn't eaten sugar in years. He took a small bite anyway. "It is good," he said, and Lily smiled, quick and bright. Ethan watched the exchange like it hurt him. "She doesn't know what you are," Ethan said quietly. Dominic's expression stayed neutral. "Tell me what you think I am," he replied. Ethan exhaled. "A dangerous man," he said. "And the worst part is, you don't even have to threaten anyone. People just assume." Dominic nodded once, accepting the mirror. "Then let me be dangerous in the right direction," he said. "Grant is the one holding your money. He's the one who can make you feel small in front of your daughter." Ethan's shoulders sagged. "He showed up at my job," Ethan admitted, smiling. "Said he could help if I stopped asking questions. Then my supervisor got a call and suddenly my hours got cut. He told me I should be grateful Lily has a roof." Dominic felt the familiar heat of rage, but he kept his tone flat. "I'm going to fix your account," he said, "and I'm going to find out why he picked you." Ethan shook his head. "No," he said, "you don't understand. If you touch Grant, he touches us back." Dominic stepped closer. "Then you stay near me until I remove his hands," Dominic said. Lily tugged Ethan's sleeve. "Dad, can we trust him?" she asked. Simple, honest. Ethan looked at Dominic for a long time, then down at Lily's face. He made a decision the way parents sometimes did, not because it was safe, but because the alternative was worse. "We don't have options," he whispered. Dominic nodded. "Then you have mine," he said. That night, Dominic arranged a doctor visit for Lily, not because she looked sick, but because he needed to know if she'd been neglected by the freeze. The doctor's report came back clean, but it noted something else. Lily had been under stress, nightmares, anxious stomach, a 6-year-old carrying adult fear. Dominic sat alone in his car afterward, staring at a photo on his phone he had kept hidden for years. Evelyn smiling with the swallow pendant at her throat. If Grant was connected to Evelyn's disappearance, then this wasn't random corruption. It was personal, and Dominic Vale didn't survive by ignoring personal. He kept his voice low because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving, but in his chest time slowed to a single decision. He had built his reputation to scare men, yet the thing that scared him now was failing a child. Every instinct told him to walk away, and every memory told him he was done walking away. He chose simple words, the kind that could survive. Chapter 3. Dominic moved fast, because speed was the one language Grant respected. By noon the next day, Luca had a private investigator digging through public filings, and Dominic's attorney was drafting a formal complaint that would force the bank to answer in writing. Dominic also did what he did best. He showed up. He walked into Grant's district office in a suit that cost more than the furniture. 2 assistants looked up and went pale. Grant's face appeared a moment later, polished smile already set. "Dominic Vale," Grant said, voice warm. "What a surprise. I didn't know you cared about community issues." Dominic didn't sit. "Unfreeze Ethan Reed's account," he said. Grant's smile didn't change, but his eyes sharpened. "That's a bank matter," he replied smoothly. "I don't control private institutions." Dominic leaned forward. "The hold order has your oversight stamp," he said. "I'm not here to chat." Grant spread his hands. "If there's an oversight review, it's for protection," he said. "We need to make sure funds aren't being misused." "Misused?" Dominic repeated, voice flat. "By a father trying to buy a birthday cake for his 6-year-old. Grant's smile tightened. "Emotional stories," he said. "They make people reckless." Dominic felt the threat buried in the word reckless. "Why him?" Dominic asked. Grant's gaze flicked away, then back. "Why not him?" he said. "Lots of people need guidance." Dominic stepped back, letting the office air fill the space. "Guidance doesn't look like starvation," he said. "I'm giving you 1 hour." Grant's eyes glittered. "1 hour for what?" he asked. Dominic turned. "To do the right thing," he said. "Or I start asking the wrong questions loudly." Outside, Luca exhaled. "He's baiting you," Luca warned. Dominic nodded. "I know," he said, "but bait works both ways." He didn't go straight to violence or threats. He went to Harper Outreach Cafe, a non-profit cafeteria across the river, where Grant held photo ops. Dominic walked in with Ethan and Lily, not as hostages, but as proof. Lily wore her tiara again, and she held a drawing she'd made of the cake. Ethan looked like he hated being used for anything, but he still held Lily's hand. Grant arrived to cameras 10 minutes later, smiling as if the world was kind. His smile faltered when he saw Ethan. For a heartbeat, Grant looked like a man recognizing a file. Dominic stepped close enough that Grant could hear him over the chatter. "This is the father you're squeezing," Dominic said softly. "And this is the 6-year-old you made watch him apologize." Grant recovered fast. "Mr. Reed," he said, voice syrupy, "we're just ensuring everything is in order. If you cooperate—" Ethan's hands shook, but he kept his voice steady. "My daughter needed medicine and you froze my money," he said. "You don't get to call that order." Lily looked up at Grant. "Did you make my dad sad?" she asked, blunt. The cameras caught it. A murmur rippled through the room. Grant's smile turned into a mask so tight it looked painful. "Of course not, sweetheart," he said, bending slightly. "I love helping families." Dominic watched Grant lie to a child without blinking, and Dominic knew the man would never stop unless someone made him. Dominic leaned toward Grant. "I'm done playing quiet," Dominic whispered. That afternoon, the bank called Dominic's attorney with a sudden offer to resolve the misunderstanding. The hold would be lifted, they claimed, pending a quick verification. Dominic agreed, then sent his own tech team to watch the paperwork trail. He wanted the hand behind the pen. In the evening, Maren Shaw contacted Dominic, not through a public line, but through a private number Dominic had only ever given to one person. "We need to talk," she said. "Now." Dominic met her under a bridge near the river, a place where noise could hide a conversation. Maren didn't waste time. "Grant isn't just freezing accounts," she said. "He's running a pipeline through charities and placements." Dominic's jaw tightened. "Children," he said. Maren nodded. "We've been building a case," she said, "but he keeps moving pieces. Your noise is forcing him to move faster. That can help us if you stay smart." Dominic stared at the dark water. "A 6-year-old bought a cake with my money," Dominic said. "If that's what starts a war, fine." Maren's eyes stayed steady. "Then listen carefully," she said. "If you want Lily safe, you need to understand Grant knows who she is." Dominic's blood went cold. "Explain," he demanded. Maren inhaled. "Evelyn Harper didn't disappear randomly," she said. "She went into hiding. She left a child behind, Grant found out, and he's been searching for leverage ever since." Dominic's chest tightened until breathing hurt. "Lily," he whispered. Maren nodded. "He sees her as a key," she said. "So do we. Because if Lily exists, Evelyn exists. And if Evelyn exists, the whole lie collapses." Dominic's mind spun. Ethan's fear, the frozen account, the deliberate humiliation in that cafeteria. It wasn't about money. It was about control. About reminding Ethan he couldn't protect a 6-year-old without permission. Dominic looked at Maren. "What do you need from me?" he asked. "Access," Maren said. "Your ability to get close to Grant. Your ability to make him talk. And your promise that you won't turn this into a street war." Dominic's voice went quiet. "I can promise the last part, only if you promise the first," he said. "The kids come first." Maren nodded. "Always," she said. Dominic drove back to Queens and sat outside Ethan's building for a long time, watching the windows. He had money, men, and weapons, but none of it felt like protection compared to a child asleep behind thin glass. He realized then that the real battlefield wasn't Grant's office or Dominic's territory. It was Lily's future. He kept his voice low, because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving, but in his chest, time slowed to a single decision. He had built his reputation to scare men, yet the thing that scared him now was failing a child. Every instinct told him to walk away, and every memory told him he was done walking away. He chose simple words, the kind that could survive an audio narration without losing meaning. He watched her small hands and realized how much bravery could fit in 6 years. He didn't need applause. He needed the right outcome, and he was willing to pay for it. He kept his voice low because children. Chapter 4. Grant responded the way predators did when they felt watched. He smiled wider and sharpened the trap. The following morning, Dominic received an invitation to Grant's annual Family's First Gala, a room full of donors, cameras, and polite lies. The invite came with a note that looked friendly, but read like a warning. "Bring your friends." Dominic didn't bring friends. He brought leverage. He arrived at the hotel with Luca and Theo, dressed like wealth and moving like danger, but he kept his hands empty and his face calm. Maren's team blended in as staff. Ethan and Lily stayed in Dominic's penthouse under guard, because Dominic refused to use a 6-year-old as bait. Not again. Grant greeted Dominic at the entrance, flashing teeth. "Dominic," he said loudly for anyone watching. "Wonderful to see you supporting children." Dominic's voice stayed even. "You love children as props," he said. "I love them breathing." Grant's smile twitched. "Still emotional," he murmured, then guided Dominic toward a quieter corner near the service corridor. "Let's talk privately." In the corridor, away from champagne laughter, Grant dropped the warmth. "You embarrassed me," he said. Dominic didn't blink. "You embarrassed a father in front of his 6-year-old, Dominic replied. "We're even." Grant's eyes narrowed. "You think you're fixing something," he said. "You're just moving pieces you don't understand." Dominic held out a folder. Inside were copies of Grant's Shell Board member records and a trail showing hold orders tied to his office. "I understand enough," Dominic said. "Lift the hold, stop touching families, or this becomes public." Grant laughed, but there was strain in it. "Public doesn't scare me," he said. "Public loves me." Dominic leaned in. "Public loves a story," he said. "Like a councilman freezing accounts while a 6-year-old can't buy a cake." Grant's smile turned sharp. "You keep saying 6-year-old like it's a spell," he said. "It won't protect you." Dominic's throat tightened. "Why Lily?" he asked directly. "Why Ethan?" Grant's eyes flicked the first crack. "Curiosity," he said, "and insurance." Dominic's voice dropped. "Evelyn," he said. Grant's face stilled for a fraction too long. Then the smile returned, colder. "Ah," he said. "So she still haunts you?" Dominic kept his breathing measured. "Where is she?" Dominic asked. Grant shrugged. "Gone," he said. "People like her vanish when they stop being useful." Dominic's jaw tensed. "Say what you did," Dominic demanded. Grant stepped closer, enjoying the moment. "I did what needed doing," he said. "Evelyn wanted protection. She wanted a way out of your world. I gave it to her. She paid with information, and then she paid again with silence." His voice softened like he was telling a bedtime story. "That's how power works." Dominic felt rage surge, but he forced it into control. "You're confessing," Dominic said. Grant smiled. "To you," he replied. "A man who can't run to police without burning himself." Dominic didn't answer. He simply glanced past Grant where a waiter moved by with a tray. The waiter's eyes met Dominic's for a heartbeat. It was Marin's agent, wired and ready. Grant followed Dominic's glance and stiffened. "What is this?" he snapped. Dominic kept his voice calm. "A choice," he said. "Unfreeze the accounts and resign quietly, or you get dragged into daylight." Grant's laughter turned harsh. "You think daylight is clean?" he hissed. "Your hands are filthy, Dominic. And if you pull this thread, you pull yourself apart." He leaned in. "And I'll make sure Ethan and Lily pay for your pride." Dominic's gaze hardened. "Try," he said. Grant stepped back, breathing faster. "You don't get to threaten me," he said. Dominic's voice stayed low. "I'm not threatening you," he replied. "I'm warning you that you misjudged what I can live with." Grant turned toward the ballroom, needing the cameras like oxygen. Dominic followed, refusing to let him reset the narrative. On stage, Grant lifted a microphone, ready to perform compassion. Dominic watched, then made his move. He walked to the front row and raised his phone. The screen displayed the bank hold orders with Grant's office stamp and the words, "Account frozen," highlighted. Cameras shifted. Whispers spread. Grant's smile faltered mid-sentence. Grant's voice sharpened. "This is a fundraiser," he snapped. "Not your personal crusade." Dominic spoke loud enough for the nearest microphones to catch. "Then explain why your office freezes charity funds," Dominic said. "Explain why families get punished until they comply." The room went quiet. Grant's eyes flashed with panic and fury. He forced a laugh. "Baseless accusations," he said. "Security, please escort Mr. Vale out." 2 men moved in. Not hotel security, private security with the posture of enforcers. Dominic's instincts screamed, but he stayed still. Marin moved from the shadows toward the back, ready to intervene if it turned ugly. Grant leaned close to Dominic as the men approached. "You wanted a story," Grant whispered. "Here's one. Ethan Reed isn't who you think, and Lily isn't safe anywhere you touch." He smiled like poison. "Ask Ethan why his account is really frozen." Dominic's chest tightened. Ethan had hidden something. Dominic had felt it. Grant was using that crack. Dominic allowed the security men to guide him toward the exit, because sometimes leaving was the only way to follow. Outside, Luca's voice was tight. "Boss, what did he mean?" Dominic stared at the hotel doors, mind racing. "It means Ethan has a past," Dominic said. And Grant knows it. Maren caught up beside them, expression controlled. He's spooked, she said. He'll move kids tonight. He'll move money tonight. He'll try to erase trails. Dominic's eyes hardened. Then we don't wait, Dominic said. He dialed Ethan. Ethan answered immediately, whispering. Lily's asleep, he said. Dominic's voice was low. Ethan, Dominic said, tell me what you're hiding. Because Grant just threatened your 6-year-old daughter by name, and I won't protect a lie. Silence held for a moment, heavy and dangerous. Then Ethan exhaled like he was stepping off a cliff. Fine, Ethan said. You want truth? Then meet me. Alone. Dominic's pulse steadied. He heard it now. The sound of a second story opening under the first, and he knew the twist was coming. He kept his voice low because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving, but in his chest, time slowed to a single decision. He had built his reputation to scare men, yet the thing that scared him now was failing a child. Every instinct told him to. Chapter 5. Ethan chose the place a closed playground behind a church, empty swings creaking in cold wind. Dominic arrived alone as promised, because if Ethan was telling the truth, fear had already owned him long enough. He left Luca watching from a distance and kept his hands visible. Ethan stood under a street lamp hoodie up, eyes rimmed red with sleeplessness. If you think I'm using Lily, he said, voice shaking, you wrong. She's the only reason I am still alive. Dominic didn't interrupt. He waited. Ethan swallowed. My name isn't Ethan Reed, he admitted. Not originally. He flinched like the words burned. Years ago I worked for you. Low level, fixing cars, fixing locks, cleaning messes. You didn't want seen. Dominic's stomach tightened. He remembered dozens of faces from that era, most of them gone. Name Dominic said. Ethan stared at the ground. Ethan is the name you gave me when you let me walk, he said. But before that you called me Red. He lifted his gaze. You don't remember because you had 100 Reds. I was the one who drove Evelyn the night she disappeared. Dominic felt the world narrow. What he demanded, Ethan's voice broke. Grant's men were after her. He said she knew she was pregnant. She begged you for a way out. But you were trapped in your own war. She trusted me because I was the only one who looked at her like a person. He inhaled hard. I got her out of the city. I promised her I'd keep the baby safe if anything happened. Dominic's heart pounded. Lily, he whispered. Ethan nodded, eyes wet. She's 6, he said. Evelyn named her Lily because she wanted something soft in a hard world. She gave me the swallow pendant and told me to put it on the baby if she didn't make it back. Dominic felt a sharp pain behind his eyes. Where is Evelyn? He asked, voice raw. Ethan shook his head. Alive, he said. Last I knew. But she went into hiding with federal help. She told me not to contact her. She said, if Grant found Lily, he'd use her as leverage against you and against the case. Dominic's jaw clenched. Grant found her anyway. Dominic said. Ethan's shoulders slumped. He recognized me at my job, he admitted. He knew I used to work for you. He froze my accounts to force me to bring Lily into the open. That cafeteria wasn't random. He wanted you to see her to react. Ethan's voice trembled with shame. I tried to keep her invisible, but kids need cake, kids need normal, and I failed. Before we continue, tell me in the comments what you think of this story so far and what you would do in his place. Don T. Leave the video because what comes next will give you chills. Dominic's breathing steadied into purpose. You didn't fail, Dominic said. Though part of him knew Ethan had carried the burden alone, he cornered you. Ethan rubbed his face. He's moving tonight, he warned. Not just money, kids. Harper House is getting hit with an emergency inspection at midnight. They'll claim it as unsafe and relocate children to temporary placements. You know what that means. Dominic's fists clenched. I know, he said. Ethan glanced. Around fear returning. If you go to war, he'll hurt. Lily, he whispered. Dominic's voice went quiet. Then I don't go to war, he said. I go to court, I go to cameras. I go to the one place Grant can by forever. Ethan laughed bitterly. You think the system protects kids, he asked. Dominic looked at the swings, the empty playground built for laughter that wasn't there. No, Dominic said. I think it can be forced to. With evidence, Maren arrived then, stepping from the dark like she belonged there. Ethan flinched. Dominic held up a hand. She's FBI, Dominic said. And she's the reason Evelyn is alive. Maren's eyes stayed on Ethan. We have a warrant ready for Grant's office and the bank contractor, she said. But we need him on the relocation chain. If he moves kids tonight, we can catch him ordering it. Dominic nodded once, then we catch him, he said. They split into teams. Marin S. agents took positions near Harper House. Dominic S. men took silent positions along the routes leading out, not to fight, but to watch and record. Plates, faces, timestamps. Dominic drove with Ethan because Ethan knew the patterns and because Dominic refused to leave Lily without a plan. At 11:47 p.m., unmarked vans arrived at Harper House. Inspectors in reflective vests walked in with clipboards, acting like they were saving children. Mrs. Adler called Dominic's number once, voice shaking. They rehear, she whispered. They have papers. Dominic kept his tone steady. Do not hand over any child without names and destinations, he said. Keep them in the dining. All keep them together. Through a nearby camera feed. Marin S. team provided Dominic watched as children gathered confused and sleepy. He saw small bodies in pajamas clinging to blankets. He saw Eli with an inhaler, now safer, but still afraid. Dominic S.'s chest tightened at the thought that Lily could have been one of them, moved like cargo. One inspector stepped aside and made a call, head bowed, as if he was praying. Marin S. agent caught the audio. Yes, councilman, we're re-executing the relocation now, Marin S. Voice came through Dominica's earpiece. That's our link, she said. Stay ready. The vans began loading. Not all kids. Specific ones, the same pattern as the placements file. Quiet kids. Kids without family kids who wouldn't be missed quickly. Dominic felt sick. He saw Sasha being guided by the elbow and her eyes darting for Mia, and Dominic realized childhood had become a chessboard. Marin moved. Agents stepped in. Badges out. Voices controlled. Federal agents. Marin said, step away from the children. The inspectors froze. One tried to argue. Another tried to flee. It didn't become chaos. It became reality catching up. Papers were seized. Phones were taken. Kids were moved back inside with gentle hands. Dominic stayed at the edge, watching Marin do what Dominic could never do, cleanly make law feel like protection. Ethan stood beside him, shaking. Marin approached Dominic afterward, holding up a phone with Grant. Text thread, visible instructions, names, times. We have him, she said. Dominic exhaled slowly. Good, he said. Now we. End it, Ethan whispered. What about Lily? Dominic's eyes hardened with certainty. Lily comes home, he said, and this city learns she's not leverage, she SA. Chapter 6. Grant didn't get arrested that night. Not yet. Marin explained it coldly. If they moved too early, he would claim rogue inspectors and cut a deal before the bigger network surfaced. Dominic hated it, but he listened because the children had been returned to their beds, and that was what mattered. They moved the evidence instead. Hard drives from the vans, phones from inspectors, a laptop from a youth services office that didn't exist on any registry. Marin's team worked in a borrowed conference room at Harper House while Mrs. Adler served coffee like a shield. Dominic waited in the hallway with Ethan. Ethan's hands wouldn't stop shaking. He'll come for Lily, Ethan whispered. Dominic's voice stayed steady. Not if he can't touch the levers anymore, Dominic said. At 2:13 a.m., Marin stepped out, eyes sharp. We have Grant's thread, she said. Direct orders. The bank contractor is tied in too, and we have a witness willing to speak if you can handle the emotional blast. Dominic's stomach tightened. Who? He asked. Marin didn't answer out loud. She nodded toward the small clinic room at the end of the hall. Dominic walked down the corridor like he was approaching a ghost. The door was half open. He stepped in and stopped. Evelyn sat in a chair by the window, hair pulled back, face thinner but unmistakably her. The swallow pendant was gone from her neck because it was around Lily's throat now. Her eyes lifted to Dominic, warm brown turning wet. Dominic's breath left him. For 6 years he had convinced himself she was dead, because believing she was alive and gone by choice had felt worse. Now she was alive, and here, and the truth was bigger than either pain. Dominic, Evelyn whispered. He didn't rush to her. He couldn't. He stood there, hands open, as if sudden movement would shatter reality. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, voice rough. Evelyn swallowed. Because the moment Grant realized Lily existed, she became a weapon, she said. And you were too visible, too powerful. Your shadow would have brought him straight to her. Dominic's jaw clenched. So you hid her with Ethan, Dominic said, looking back at the door. Evelyn nodded. Ethan saved us, she said. He carried Lily out of the city when I couldn't. I went into federal protective custody because I had information. Maren was the first agent who treated me like a person instead of a bargain. Maren stood near the wall, expression controlled. We kept Evelyn alive to build the case, she said, but Grant kept reaching, freezing accounts, buying contractors, moving kids. Tonight he made the mistake of moving in front of cameras we control. Dominic's eyes stayed on Evelyn. Lily thinks Ethan is her father, Dominic said quietly. Evelyn's voice broke. He is, she said, in every way that mattered when you weren't there. She inhaled hard. But biologically, Dominic, Lily is yours. The words hit Dominic like a bullet that didn't bleed but still wounded. He felt the air tighten in his lungs, the room narrowing. He thought of Lily in her yellow raincoat, holding a fork like a tiny sword. He thought of the way she had offered him cake, like kindness was natural. He forced himself to speak. She's 6, he said, as if saying it would anchor him. She's 6 and she needed cake. Evelyn nodded, tears spilling. I'm sorry, she whispered. I thought I was protecting her from your world. I didn't realize your world was already hunting her. Dominic's voice went low. Grant used her, he said. He humiliated Ethan to bait me. He threatened a child. Maren stepped forward. We can arrest Grant, she said. But if you want him convicted, we need what you can provide, your knowledge of his donors, your ability to identify which charity friends were paying for placements. Dominic looked at Maren. You want me to testify, he said. Maren nodded once. Yes, she said, and I'm not pretending it won't hurt you. Dominic stared out the window at the faint dawn over Queens. If I cooperate, he said, my empire collapses. Evelyn's voice was soft. And Lily lives, she said. Dominic's throat tightened. He turned back to Evelyn. Do you want to be in her life, he asked. Evelyn wiped her face. I want to be near her, she said, but I don't want to rip away the only father she's known. Dominic nodded, feeling the weight of doing this right. Then we don't rip, he said. We build, slowly, safely. Ethan stepped into the doorway, face pale. Lily wasn't with him, because they had kept her asleep, protected from adult explosions. Ethan looked at Evelyn and didn't blame her. He just looked tired. Dominic faced Ethan. You kept her alive, Dominic said. Ethan's eyes filled. I kept my promise, he said. That's all. Dominic held his gaze. Then we keep it together, Dominic said. If you let me. Ethan hesitated, then nodded once. For her, he whispered. Maren cleared her throat gently, bringing the room back to the case. Grant has a breakfast meeting with the bank contractor at 9 a.m., she said. We can take him there, cameras, witnesses, clean arrest. She looked at Dominic. Will you be there? Dominic's voice was steady now, a decision made. Yes, he said, and after that, I go on record. I give you names, I give you ledgers, I give you everything I kept hidden. Evelyn looked at him like she was seeing a new version of him. Dominic didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man finally paying a debt. When he left the room, Dominic pulled out his phone and recorded a single message for himself, not for the world. Lily is 6. She is not leverage. She is my beginning. Words written, 11:50. He kept his voice low because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving, but in his chest time slowed to a single decision. He had built his reputation to scare men, yet the thing that scared him now was failing a child. Every instinct told him to walk away, and every memory told him he was done walking away. He chose simple words, the kind that could survive an audio narration without losing meaning. He watched her small hands and realized how much bravery could fit in 6 years. He didn't need applause, he needed the right outcome, and he was willing to pay for it. He kept his voice low, because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving. Chapter 7. Grant walked into the hotel breakfast lounge at 9:02 a.m., wearing confidence like cologne. The bank contractor sat already, stirring coffee, eyes scanning the room the way criminals did when they thought they were respectable. Dominic watched from a corner table with Maren, Luca, and 2 plainclothes agents. Dominic didn't carry a weapon. His weapon today was truth with timestamps. Grant slid into the booth and smiled at the contractor. You did your job, he said, voice low. Now we clean up the mess. The contractor nodded quickly. Your office wants the bank footage deleted, he murmured. Grant's smile turned thin. Not deleted, he corrected. Archived. Controlled. He took a sip. And the Reed situation. Handle it. That child is a liability. Maren's eyes sharpened. She signaled her team. Agents stepped in smoothly, badges out. Councilman Grant, Maren said. You're under arrest. For a second, Grant looked genuinely confused, as if reality had violated an agreement. Then his face twisted into anger. This is outrageous, he snapped. Do you know who I am? Maren's voice stayed calm. Yes, she said. That's why we're here. They cuffed him without drama. The contractor tried to stand, then sat back down when an agent's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. Cameras in the lounge caught the scene, because Dominic had chosen a place where everything was recorded. Grant's gaze found Dominic across the room. His expression hardened into accusation. You think you won, he hissed. You just signed your own death warrant. Dominic stood and approached, keeping his voice low so only Grant could hear. No, Dominic said. You did. When you used a 6-year-old to make yourself feel powerful. Grant's smile returned, ugly. She's your weakness, he whispered. And weakness gets punished. Dominic didn't flinch. Not anymore, he said. Because you're losing the only thing you ever had. Access. Maren led Grant out. The room buzzed with shock, people filming with phones, whispers racing. Dominic didn't watch the spectacle. He watched the door close and felt the first real quiet he'd felt in years. The quiet didn't last. By afternoon, Dominic's name was on every news site, not as a savior, but as a question. Businessman Dominic Vale linked to federal corruption investigation. The reporters didn't know what to call him because the truth didn't fit their headlines. Dominic didn't care. He had expected this. He had chosen it. Maren met Dominic at a federal building and laid out the deal in plain words. Your cooperation helps us prosecute the network, she said, but you'll face charges, financial crimes, racketeering ties. You won't walk away clean. Dominic nodded. I'm not asking to, he said. Luca's jaw tightened. Boss? Dominic held up a hand. No, he said. This is the cost. Evelyn waited in a secure room down the hall. Ethan waited too because nobody trusted the world yet. Lily was at Dominic's penthouse with a social worker Maren had arranged, asleep after a confusing morning where adults had spoken in whispers. Dominic sat with Maren and signed his statement. Names, dates, shell companies, donor lists, grants, placements. Dominic said it all without ornaments, because ornament was how predators hid. He offered facts like bricks. When it was done, Maren leaned back. You just set fire to your own house, she said. Dominic's voice was quiet. My house was built wrong, he replied. It needed to burn. That evening, Dominic asked for one thing before he was processed into custody for his own charges. 10 minutes with Lily. Maren hesitated, then nodded. 10, she said, and an agent stays in the room. Dominic returned to his penthouse and found Lily on the couch in her yellow raincoat, tiara on, clutching a stuffed rabbit Ethan had bought at a thrift store. She was 6, small, and trying to look brave. Ethan sat nearby, tense. Evelyn stood by the window, hands clasped. The social worker gave Dominic space but stayed present. Lily looked up at Dominic, eyes searching his face. Did you fix the money? She asked. Dominic crouched in front of her, slow, careful. Yes, he said. Your dad's account will work again, and Harper House will have medicine and heat. Lily nodded, relief flickering. Then her voice turned small. Are you going away? She asked. Dominic felt the question land like a weight. For a little while, he said honestly. Because I'm telling the truth about bad people and I also have to pay for things I did before. Lily's lip trembled. I don't want you to go, she whispered. Dominic's throat tightened. He chose simple words. I don't want to go either, he said, but I will come back and I will keep showing up for you. Lily looked at Ethan, then at Dominic. Is Ethan still my dad? She asked, voice trembling. Ethan's eyes filled, but he didn't speak over her. He waited. Dominic nodded. Yes, he said. Ethan is your dad, and I'm Dominic. He paused, then added gently, I'm also the man who helped make you. If you ever want to know me, I'll be here, even when it's hard. Lily stared at him for a long time. Then she held out the stuffed rabbit. You can hold him, she said, offering a piece of her safety. Dominic took it with both hands like it mattered. Thank you, he whispered. Evelyn stepped forward, eyes wet. Lily, she said softly. Lily's gaze shifted to Evelyn, confusion mixing with recognition she couldn't name. Do I know you? She asked. Evelyn swallowed, voice shaking. "I'm someone who loves you," she said, "and I'm sorry I wasn't there." Lily didn't understand everything because she was 6, but she understood tone. She nodded once, then leaned into Ethan's side. A knock came. Time was up. Dominic stood. He looked at Lily one last time. "Happy birthday again," he said. "I'm sorry your birthday had adults in it." Lily managed a small smile. "The cake was good," she said. Dominic nodded. "It was," he whispered, and turned to go. As he walked out between agents, Luca followed at a distance, eyes fierce. Dominic didn't feel fear. He felt direction. For the first time, the life he was leaving behind looked like a closed door rather than a throne, and the life he was walking toward had a 6-year-old in a plastic tiara waiting for him to earn his place. He kept his voice low, because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving, but in his chest, time slowed to a single decision. He had. Chapter 8. Dominic spent 7 months in a federal facility that was clean enough to pretend it wasn't a cage. He wasn't treated like a legend there. He was treated like a number, and in a strange way the simplicity felt honest. He used the time the way he used to use nights in his office, reading files, writing letters, planning the next move. Only this time the next move wasn't an expansion, it was repair. Maren kept her promise. Grant's network collapsed in layers. The bank contractor pled out and testified. 2 donors were arrested. 3 fled and were tracked. The placement's pipeline was exposed to the public in plain language. Children treated like donations with legs. Grant tried to bargain, tried to accuse Dominic of worse crimes, but Dominic's ledgers matched the government's digital trails. Grant lost the only currency he had, plausible denial. Evelyn testified too, not as a victim, but as a witness with a steady voice. She described how Grant had approached her, how fear had made her vulnerable, how he had tried to turn her child into leverage. She didn't romanticize anything. She just told the truth until the courtroom had to listen. Ethan testified last. He spoke about the night he drove Evelyn out, about holding a newborn Lily and promising a mother he would keep the baby safe. He spoke about working under a fake name, living small on purpose and still being squeezed until he couldn't buy a slice of cake for a 6-year-old. The cake became the headline. Not Dominic, not Grant. The cake. People understood cake. People understood a father in a cafeteria whispering, "We don't have the money, princess," and a child nodding like she didn't deserve more. The story made politicians angry because it made voters human. It made donors nervous because it made their charity feel accountable. It made Harper House fill with actual resources instead of photo ops. Mrs. Adler didn't smile much, but she rebuilt. New heaters, a staffed clinic, a transparent board with real names. She framed Lily's drawing of the swallow in the hallway because it reminded everyone that children weren't statistics. They were stories. Dominic's sentencing came in winter. He stood in a courtroom without his suit, hands folded, listening to the judge describe his past in a voice that didn't flinch. Dominic didn't argue. When the judge asked why he cooperated, Dominic answered the simplest truth. "Because a 6-year-old asked for cake," Dominic said, "and I realized my power meant nothing if it couldn't protect a child." The judge gave him time served plus supervised release, heavy fines, and an order to dissolve certain holdings. Dominic accepted every piece. He walked out not free of consequence, but free of pretending. The first place he went was not his old office. It was Harper House. Lily met him at the entrance wearing the same plastic tiara because she liked the feeling of being special. She was still 6, but taller now, cheeks fuller, eyes less haunted. She stared at Dominic for a second, then ran forward and threw her arms around him, careful but real. "You came back," she whispered into his coat. Dominic closed his eyes. "I promised," he said. Ethan stood behind her, posture cautious but his face softer than before. "She wanted to be here," Ethan said. Dominic nodded, grateful. He didn't try to take Ethan's place. He didn't need to. He needed to earn a seat beside him. Evelyn stepped out of the hallway, hair longer now, expression steady. She didn't rush to Dominic either. She walked to him like an adult, like someone who had learned to survive disappointment. When she reached him, she touched his arm gently. "I saw the sentence," she said. "You did what you said you'd do." Dominic exhaled. "I'm still doing it," he replied. They went inside. Children stared at Dominic like he was a storybook character, but Lily tugged his sleeve and pulled him toward a table where paper and crayons waited. "We're making thank you cards," she said. "Mrs. Adler says we can send them to the judge." Dominic sat, awkward at first, then calm. He wrote in block letters, because he wanted it to be readable if someone read it out loud. "Thank you for choosing the kids." Lily leaned over and drew a swallow above his words. Later, Dominic walked Lily to the small backyard. Snow rested on the fence. Lily looked up at him with that directness only children had. "Are you my dad?" she asked. Dominic chose care over ego. "Ethan is your dad," he said. "He raised you. He kept you safe. I'm also your father," he added gently. "I'm the one who helped bring you into the world. If you want, you can call me Dominic until you decide what feels right." Lily considered it, brows furrowed like she was solving a big math problem. Then she nodded. "Okay," she said. "Dominic, will you come to my school thing?" Dominic smiled, small and honest. "Yes," he said. "Tell me the date." Lily grinned. "It's next week," she said. "We're singing." Dominic's chest tightened. He had attended meetings with men who threatened cities, but the idea of a school song terrified him in a new, gentle way. "I'll be there," he said anyway. They left Harper House together, not as a dramatic procession, but as a family learning to walk in the same direction. Ethan drove. Evelyn sat in the front passenger seat, finally willing to be seen. Lily sat in the back, humming to herself, tiara crooked, swallow pendant resting at her throat like a promise that had survived. Dominic looked out the window at the city he used to own. It didn't feel like his anymore, that was the point. He had traded ownership for belonging, fear for responsibility, and he didn't regret it. At a red light, Lily leaned forward between the seats. "Dad," she said to Ethan, then turned her head. "Dominic," she corrected, practicing. "Can we get cake again sometime?" Dominic's throat tightened. He kept his voice light. "Any time you want," he said. "And next time we won't need permission from anyone." Lily smiled and settled back, satisfied. He kept his voice low because children listened harder when adults stopped performing. The city outside kept moving, but in his chest, time slowed to a single decision. He had built his reputation to scare men, yet the thing that scared him now was failing a child. Every instinct. What did you think of the story? Subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who will also be moved today.